Major League Baseball got so much attention, and the media talking heads, my worthy adversarial competitors, had something to say to you about the fact that Brewers phenom Jacob Misirowoski was named an All-Star. And members of the Philadelphia Phillies were angry because they felt their players deserved to be All-Stars, specifically their pitchers, Christopher Sanchez, Ranger Suarez. The Philadelphia Phillies made a spectacle out of the fact that the Brewers pitcher, who just debuted he's pitched like in 5 games, that he was named an All-Star. We had a pitcher named Dontrelle Willis in 2003. He had pitched in 13 games before the All-Star break, and he had been called up, and he was the story of baseball. He was all arms and legs. He was a lefty who had an infectious smile. He still does TV work with a World Series ring that he won in 2003. You can still catch him on Fox as a baseball analyst in studio. He made the All-Star game, and we politicked to get him into the All-Star game that year because our view was that it would be good for the organization, who had been playing well since May, to have exposure of Dontrelle Willis on the world stage. MLB, and I will never forget the conversation with people at MLB saying, we're good with the bonus that he would get. We're good with the fact that we'll have to pay him more in arbitration because he will have this special circumstance, which is an All-Star game. Little did we know that he'd have another special circumstance, which was a World Series ring. But we thought it important to promote Dontrelle Willis. For those of you who misunderstand how I ran the team, thinking that we did it only to hurt players or to give them as little as possible, you're wrong. We were in entertainment. I wanted attention in Miami. When you've got a pitcher like Jacob Misirowoski, who's throwing 105 miles an hour, who everybody wants to see. You heard Bobby Valentine. You heard Matthew Coca. You heard me. If you've got a choice between someone who's going to attract attention and someone who's not, you go with the player who's going to attract attention. But the story is MLB didn't actually do that. They had an opening on the All-Star pitching staff because of a replacement, and they went to the Phillies pitchers. I don't know how to be any more clear about this story and the hate that you are all having toward Misirowoski for being named an All-Star and for the Phillies complaining like a bunch of wimps about what happened. The Phillies were spoken to, and this is how it works every single year. The Phillies were asked, hey, we need innings, because it's not the manager who's saying, oh, this guy's got the first inning, then let's see, we're going to warm up for the second inning. It is all predetermined. The pitchers know going in exactly what inning they're going to pitch. They also know if they're the replacement pitcher in any inning, if the starter of that inning throws over the limit of pitches. If you can't get 3 outs within 30 pitches, there's going to be another All-Star that comes in, and their job is to be ready for mop-up, to warm up in the bullpen and mop up an inning that cannot be completed. Or your job is to pitch extra innings, and you're not going to see action if it's a regular 9-inning game. It's all given to the pitchers in advance and the teams. We don't just send our pitchers to an exhibition game anywhere without a full, not just understanding, but control over how we want that pitcher to be used. Well, the Phillies decided that they were going to pitch Christopher Sanchez on Sunday. They know the rule. Any starting pitcher who pitches on Sunday does not pitch in the All-Star game. And when baseball had to name a replacement pitcher. They needed a replacement pitcher who's going to pitch. So they called up Philly and they said, hey, we want to make Sanchez an all-star. He's had a great year. He's an all-star. Will he pitch? Even though he's pitching Sunday, what do you think? Can he give us an inning? Any chance? No? All right. We'll call you back. Then MLB meets and says, we're not going to put Sanchez on the team. We can't afford another person who's not throwing. Sorry. We're moving on. Next on the list. Hey, Philly, what about our guy, Ranger Suarez? Oh, what? He wants to break? He doesn't want to pitch? What's Zach Wheeler doing? Oh, he doesn't want to pitch? What's going on here? Why is it that none of your pitchers will pitch in this great exhibition game in Atlanta? Oh, because they like their all-star break and they're using the excuse they want to be healthy and mentally ready for the second part of the season? Would you give me a small break? I agree, and I told you the players are tired. Players get excited. But when you have a chance to go to an all-star game in baseball and to add that to your resume, whether it's an arbitration resume, a free agent resume, or a Hall of Fame resume, or just a downright obituary resume, the number of all-star games that you have under your belt in your career matters. It's not as much as rings or MVPs or Cy Youngs, but it's right after that. It's before Gold Gloves and Silver Sluggers. But no, it was a no all the way around. So explain to me then why the Philadelphia Phillies players went crazy. Trey Turner, what a joke. That's effing terrible. That's terrible, dude, talking about Misirowoski being named the All-Star. JT Realmuto, my friend JT. That's just how MLB does it now. Nothing against the Misirowoski kid, but those two are deserving of being on the team in the first place. There's no doubt. They would have been on the team if they agreed to pitch. And Nick Castellanos, why don't you worry about being productive? Nick Castellanos said that MLB is turning that game into the Savannah Bananas. Do you not love when people try to do a zinger on you? And in fact, it's the opposite. Do you think that baseball looks at the Savannah Bananas and says, oh my God, we don't want to be that. We're the opposite of that. Why would we want to fill a 100,000 seat stadium? Why would we not want total brand affinity and people loving our product? I can't even imagine it. Oh, because we're too serious. We're Major League Baseball. Horse hockey. Of course, baseball this week, starting, well, it started with the Futures game, but ignore that. And it's got a softball game, ignore that. We got the Home Run Derby, and we got the All-Star game. Of course, MLB wants eyeballs. You don't think that more eyeballs come with Misirowoski than come with Sanchez or Suarez? You think MLB didn't know what they were doing when they called Philly and said, what about Sanchez, knowing that he was slated to pitch Sunday?